Of all of Jacqueline Wilson's books that were written after I stopped being the target audience, I have to say Little Darlings is one of my favourite because it's very unpredictable and we have very contrasting characters. Now, when I say I was no longer the target audience, this is because it was released in 2010, at which point I would have been 18. But I have been reading Jacqueline Wilson since I was about 7 or 8, and I'm not going to stop. Even though I'm no longer the age range, or within the age range, I will always read her work because she's very much one of the very main reasons why I write today. And Little Darlings has a premise that just spoke to me instantly. And this is about the two daughters of a rock star, Danny Kilman. His first daughter is called Destiny, and she came about, maybe that's not the right phrase, she was born after he had an affair with a fan. And so you can tell that the topics this is addressing are a little bit more mature than some of Wilson's previous works. When you compare it to things like Cookie, or maybe even Candy Floss, where they deal with quite juvenile protagonists, but still some serious issues. This one I feel is a step up, but not quite as much as Love Lessons. Definitely not as much as that. But Kate, Destiny's mother, decides to take Destiny to a film premiere where Danny has a small part. And while they're there, they meet Danny's other daughter, Sunset. Danny refuses to acknowledge this situation. Destiny isn't his, of course she isn't, why would she be? But Sunset believes that Destiny is her sister, and the whole narrative is trying to get Sunset and Destiny to convince the right people that they actually are sisters, and they come from very different walks of life, of course, they have very different personalities, they're very different people. But do they share the same father? Will they be that similar in certain situations? Will they ever get to actually be proper sisters and spend time together as part of an extended family? I really like it. I kind of had an inkling of where it would go, but not how it would get there. And I really enjoyed kind of reading this as the narrative unfolded, not really sure what was going to happen next. So the narrative itself, it's very contemporary as well, with the film premieres and, DVD recordings of things, and Destiny's High School puts on a kind of Britain's Got Talent type show. So it's very contemporary with a lot of references that will make you know that you're in the present. I say that because one of my favourite things about Jacqueline Wilson's novels that provide a contemporary setting are the references to modern life that children reading it will be able to relate to. That's one of the things I think she did so well. I mean, it sounds weird, but in the book Lola Rose, she was talking about how the character of Lola Rose really wanted this denim jacket with a pink fur trim. And at that time, every high street children's fashion clothes shop had that denim jacket. And obviously the child reading it will be able to connect with that. And that's something that I think Jacqueline Wilson's always done so superbly well. So just worth mentioning that is also the case here. The characters I really liked. I can't choose a favourite between Destiny and Sunset, but I kind of feel like I prefer Destiny. In terms of the serious issues addressed, there are some matrimonial issues. There's the question of the affair, of illegitimacy, infidelity. It does look at a lot of those, but not, obviously, in too much detail that would make it traumatizing for children. But we obviously need to remember that children reading this, a lot of them will have family units that have problems. Very few people have a, shall we say, perfect family unit. Children, I'm a child of divorce. My parents divorced when I was young. It was not a pretty affair. And obviously children reading this, it's real life. It's, it's not pleasant, but children reading it will feel like they're not alone, hopefully. Little Darlings may not be my favourite Jacqueline Wilson book, but of the last I was going to say of the last 10 years, but I guess we've just missed that. Of the last decade and a half, it's got to be one of my favourites. Start to finish, I loved it. The development of the narrative flowed really well, very engaging, went back and forth between Sunset and Destiny with absolute ease. The differences between the characters were obvious, but the similarities were also there. I wasn't sure, as I said, how it would get from A to B, even though I kind of had my suspicions of where it would end up. Ultimately, I think for the target audience, the tone is brilliant, the writing style is great. For me, I absolutely loved it.